Hey, how's it going, everyone? My name is Spencer Smith, and thanks for tuning back into my channel. Today we have a short, and I kind of want to engage with this little short video here on YouTube, coming from a man who I've watched and kind of paid attention to, and I still pay attention to. A man named Alex O'Connor. He has a YouTube channel called Cosmic Skeptic, and I think he hosts a podcast entitled Within Reason. By the way, what an ironic that is, given his atheistic worldview. But nonetheless, I kind of want to engage with this guy here because, you know, he's sharp, he's smart, he knows what he's talking about, and he's, in this clip especially, I think I agree with him. He pushes Ben Shapiro into a corner, and he's able to he's quick on his feet. It's very clear. Anyways, I kind of want to engage with this video and turn the tables on Alex O'Connor and kind of give what I would have said in this this point of contact and this point of dialogue between him and Ben Shapiro. But Alex O'Connor, again, he's a sharp guy, very smart, knows what he's talking about. Sometimes he knows what he's talking about. But I kind of want to engage with it to kind of help people, you know, even I know Alex isn't going to watch this, but just to help anyone else who is out there, you know, kind of watching this stuff, kind of seeing, you know, these similar arguments and just how to engage with it as a Christian. Because you see, as Christians, we are told to defend the faith, and we are to stand on the triune God, and we're to stand on his word and to engage the world with that as our standard. Answer full, according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own eyes. That's my goal in this video. I plan to turn the tables on Alex and see if he can turn the tables on what he's asking Ben to kind of turn it on him and have him give a justification for it. So without further ado, let's kind of get into this short and see what he says here.
Think that the ownership of other human beings under the conditions of the Hebrew Bible are immoral.
Yes.
So how do you account for God permitting something and giving you details about how to do something which is proactively immoral?
He's not permitting me, permitting my great to
do something immoral.
To do something
immoral.
That in the time was not considered immoral.
It wasn't considered immoral,
right.
But was it immoral?
By today's standards that were developed by the Judeo-Christian tradition, sure. By today's standards developed under the Judeo-Christian tradition, immoral.
Who's the moral relativist now? A moment ago you say that the great success of religion is providing a sort of untouchable moral basis that sort of transcends human affairs and human debates. And now when I say, well, look at this, open your own religious scripture and look at this blatant immorality, you say, yeah, but well, that was considered to be fine at the time. It's considered to be bad now by the progress of Judeo-Christian
there's a question
values. Who's the moral relativist?
Well,
do you think that the...
Very, very good. Very good point. Alex, I commend you. I'll give you a clap and a pat on the back for doing that to Ben Shapiro, because you're right. You're right. Ben Shapiro, at that point, was acting like a moral relativist. 100%. 100%. You're absolutely right. Anyways, in this video, Alex presses Ben Shapiro, saying, hey, you know, do you think slavery in the Bible is immoral? And Ben Shapiro boldly, I don't even know how he said this, but he said yes. And then he, you know, Ben Shapiro says, well, you know, things are today, as things now stand today, they're immoral, but back then it wasn't. And then Alex rightfully says, well, who's the moral relativist now? 100%. 100% right. He's absolutely right. But here's the point. I think Ben Shapiro's wrong. I think Alex is right. But now I want to flip the tables on Alex. I want to ask you, given your worldview, why is slavery wrong? Why is slavery wrong? Why is it wrong to buy, or not even buy, how about just enslave? How about I just break into someone's house? I have more guns than them, you know, or whatever. I have a bigger club. Why don't I just beat them into submission and, you know, keep them as my own to do my own petty work? Why is that wrong, given your atheistic, naturalistic worldview? Isn't it Dawkins who wrote in, you know, River Out of Eden, I believe around chapter 4, he says, you know, DNA neither cares nor knows. DNA just is, and we dance to its music. Well, hey, given your naturalistic presuppositions and your atheistic worldview, if I am just a highly evolved meat machine bobbing on the surface of a universe that did not have me in mind, and DNA neither cares nor knows, DNA just is, and I dance to its music, you know, this gray matter in my brain is governed by, you know, natural selection and this natural order, and I'm determined to do what my brain in my gray matter up here is just it's just going by the laws of physics. Actually, it couldn't be a law because a law assumes uniformity, but whatever, this brain fizz is just causing me to do things, and it's just this repetitive chaos, sound and fury signifying nothing. If given that atheistic worldview, why is it wrong for me to not break into my neighbor's house with a big old club and bang them into submission? Why is that wrong? You can't condemn that. You are a moral relativist, Alex. You say, well, by societal convention. That's what you will say. You'll end up saying, well, back then it probably wasn't wrong. And you accept moral relativism. I'm sure you do, because there's no other way not to. Ben Shapiro hiccups here, and he accepts moral relativism like an idiot, to be quite frank. And he really paid for it because you did a good job. I'll give you credit on that. But you are a full-blood moral relativist. Given that worldview, why is it wrong? You'll say, well, societal convention. Okay, well, it's majority rules, democracy. This is kind of where it comes from. Majority rules. Okay. Say, for instance, I live in a village, or just in my town here, say Wilmore, Kentucky, in the United States. I kind of, everyone in my consensus, in my town, we decide, hey, you know what? I think it's a good idea to start, hey, let's start the, slavery in the South again. Hey, I am kind of in the South, Kentucky here. Let's start that up here, and just in our town here. Well, by societal convention, say, for instance, in this analogy, I get everyone in my little town of 3,000, majority, 51%, to agree with that. We start enslaving black people. We take their property, we enslave them again. Given your worldview, why is it wrong? Now I have societal convention. I have the majority. Why is it wrong? You won't be able to give me an answer because you're a moral relativist. You don't have an answer. There's no way to condemn it given your naturalistic atheistic worldview. And you have to suck up to that. You already know. You see, this is what's frustrating. I can deal with people who are atheists. I can deal with men like Arthur Leff. And sometimes Richard Dawkins, when he wants to be consistent, and then he'll go around and contradict himself, because that's what unbelievers do. They typically contradict themselves. Again, Greg Bonson says, give them enough rope, then they'll hang themselves. Dawkins says, DNA neither cares nor knows, DNA just is, and we dance to its music. Well, I find that very hard to believe. If a man on the street at night, Dawkins enjoyed a date with his wife, at night, they walk back to their car, and some, thug comes up and, bangs Dawkins over the head and takes his wife. I find that very hard to believe that Dawkins is just going to say, well, DNA neither cares nor knows. DNA just does. And steals his wife and rapes her, Is Dawkins really going to say, well, DNA just is? And didn't he say in chapter 4 of River Out of Eden, there is no good, no evil, no justice, nothing but blind or pitiless indifference? Given your worldview, that is your worldview. You do not believe in morality. You have no standard for it. Now, to kind of deride Ben Shapiro here, yeah, you're right. He's the moral relativist here. He said slavery in the Bible is immoral. Well, I don't think it was. I don't think slavery is in the Bible is immoral. I don't think anything that God commanded the people in the Old Testament was immoral. You're going to say, oh, look at this horrible stuff. They caused genocide. Well, let me tell you something. God, as the sovereign creator of all the world, can do whatever he pleases with sinful creatures. If he tells a nation, rise up and destroy this nation, he can do that. And he would be not the slightest bit sinful for him to do so. Now, I understand you probably don't understand that. But again, if you're going to call God and you want to play the judge, I'm going to ask you, Alex, how do you condemn God? By what standard will you condemn God? Now you're on the horns of a dilemma. Slavery in the Bible, of course, was not immoral. That was not immoral. God, everyone has to recognize that as a Christian. Slavery in the Bible was not slavery in the South, because that was basically racist. Slavery was terrible and ungodly. I could point to the scripture to say so because, hey, you know what? Slavery in the Bible, a white person could be a slave. An indebted servitude. Hey, try losing everything. You go into debt. Try losing literally everything in the ancient world. You would die. You would die. That's why God set up the kinsman redeemer. But guess what? Every 7 years, what was to happen? They were to be released. And if they didn't want to be released, what happened then? Then they become a part of the person's household. They were under his care. This wasn't like there was this evil chattel slavery like that was going on in the South. No, slavery in the Bible was perfectly justifiable, especially given that time. Now, by God's grace, given this production and modernity, and by God's kingdom advancing into all areas of life, yeah, now everyone, we don't really find it feasible to have slaves today. Given biblical terms. Chattel slavery in the South, we're not talking about that. I'm talking about slavery in the Bible, which was not chattel slavery. It's not based on race. It was perfectly moral and perfectly just. Ben Shapiro made a big old hiccup when he said it was immoral. That was weird. I don't even know why he said that, because you cannot filter through the lens, because that's typically the error that people have, us 21st century Westerners or 21st century modern, scholars. We tend to read the Bible with the lens of our modern last 200 years of history. You know what I mean? When we hear slavery, we think, oh, slavery in the South and the United States. That's immediately what we think of. That's not what God's talking about here. I would have found it very gracious and helpful, especially if it was me living in that time in the ancient world. My crop fails. I pulled out a loan to plant this crop. I lost everything because there was no rain. Now my wife is starving. My kids are hungry. We're going to perish. But praise God, I have a kinsman redeemer, a brother in Israel to buy me, and I will serve him for as long as I can. For 7 years, that's what God's law requires. And if I still want to serve him because I want to be under his cares, because the famine's still going, I'll keep serving him, and I'll become his, in his household. It wasn't this we have to understand, yes, it was a lesser form, but it was not. It is obviously clear that it was a proper and a legitimate form of society in that time, and it was a legitimate form of work. God gave it as a moral. It was moral because God gave it. That is moral. Most definitely so. Most definitely so. And if times were to get so bad again, which by God's grace, I hope not, but if it were, we're relying on the ground again, for our crops. We don't have mass farmers like we do now. And we're not as wealthy as we are now. By God's grace, that might even be a proper thing to follow again. If we were in those times again. Yeah, it might even be a proper thing to follow again. Why not? I think that's proper. It wasn't immoral. We can't read the Bible with the lens of the modern, modernity. We can't read the Bible in those lenses because we're not talking about chattel slavery here. We're not talking about slavery in the South, in the United States. That's not what we're talking about. Because you see, as a white man, I could have been a slave in the ancient world, even in the New Testament times. Philemon, you had Onesimus. He was most definitely probably a mixed skin or a white. A Greek. This wasn't racial. It was very just as much about being, are you poor to the point of death? I mean, try going in debt in the Roman Empire. They'll freaking kill you if you didn't pay. But praise God, there was someone rich, wealthy man who was willing to pay your debt and take you in to his household, and you would serve. That's just how it was. That's just how it was. We got to face it. That was a moral thing. It was a protective thing, and it was definitely a legitimate form of society in that time. It was most definitely, and it's a legitimate form if there were to be a crash so phenomenal to be in the ancient world where we don't have the modern resources we do now. But I don't see that happening. By God's grace, the kingdom is spreading. By God's grace, his kingdom reigns from shore to shore. That's why we have the blessings we do have because of Christianity. We are the ones who gave you hospitals. We're the ones who gave you modern medicine. We're the ones who gave you, yes, naturalists, materialists have produced, but that's only because they're in the image of God. And that gets back to my point. Alex, you are in the image of God when you condemn chattel slavery. You are in the image of God when you condemn murder. You are in the image of God when you condemn rape. You are borrowing, you see, from the Christian worldview. You are borrowing from the God you know. Romans 1:21 says, "Nantes ton theon." Paul says you know the God. Actually knowing the God. You are constantly relying on him. You know the triune God. You know him. You are borrowing from him every single breath of your life. You borrow from him to reason from A to B, to use logic, to use science. You borrow from him to assume uniformity in nature, that the future will be like the past. And all the while you borrow from this God you know exists in your heart of hearts, you deny him and you suppress the truth about him in unrighteousness. You've heard this before, but I'm going to press you. Since you've abandoned God and you say he doesn't exist, the only question I have to ask, answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own eyes. Proverbs 24, I believe. The only question I have to ask is by what standard? You see, but atheists who are big in the atheist movement, they really don't want to deal with presuppositional apologetics. They don't want to deal with us people who have subscribed to transcendental argumentation. They don't want to deal with us because, you see, we're annoying. Yeah, we are. Because we're asking valid questions. In the most simple Sunday school format, we are just saying, by what standard? Oh, I believe in science. Okay, great. By what standard? How? Because science depends on the principle of induction, that the future will be like the past. Uniformity of nature. As a Christian, hey, I can say this. God says in Isaiah, he decrees the ends from the beginning. From future times, things that have not come to pass, he decrees them. Genesis, he says, I'll keep seed time and harvest, continuing till the end, till the telos. I have a standard to appeal to science. I have a standard to appeal to laws of logic, that the future will be like the past, uniformity of nature. I have a standard that I can reason from A to B. But given your worldview, given your naturalistic, atheistic worldview, you can't appeal to morality. You can't appeal to even epistemology, metaphysics. You can't even make sense of philosophy, given your naturalistic, atheistic worldview. You do. I'm not saying you can't do science. I'm not saying you can't do math, because you do, and you probably do it better than me. And I'm not saying you don't do philosophy, and you do. You probably do it better than me. But my point is you can't account for it. You can't account for morality. You can't account for a philosophy. You can't account for science. I can. I rely on the triune God. I can appeal to these things. Not perfectly, but I can appeal to them. I can condemn rape. I can condemn murder. I can appeal to philosophy. I can appeal to science. I can appeal to all of these forms of reason. I am within reason, to use your podcast name format. I am within reason. The Christians are the only ones within reason. You, on the other hand, given your atheistic worldview, you are not. You are not within reason. You are in a vicious circle out there in this chaotic time-chance universe. You are in this just a sound and fury signifying nothing, and you're trying to appeal to uniformity, and you're desperately grasping at it. But you come up short. It's like Ecclesiastes says, and Solomon says, you're shepherding the wind. You're striving after the wind. That's what you're doing. You don't have a standard. You want to. You appeal to it, and you know it's wrong, and you know you can, only because you're in the image of God. You have to borrow from God in order to slap him in the face. That's what Cornelius Van Til said. Again, give the unbeliever, Christians, pay attention to me, give the unbeliever enough rope and he will hang himself. Ben Shapiro was a complete lunatic, the way he answered that. Pat on the back for Alex for pushing him into the corner, and he did a great job. But again, I'm going to flip the tables on you, Alex. You are the moral relativist. You can't appeal to these things. You have no standard. You don't. No matter which way you cut it, you can't appeal to societal convention or majority. You can't appeal to that. Hitler had the majority. Was he wrong? All right. That ties up this little short video. There's so many more that I kind of want to engage, but this kind of gets the ball rolling. There's a lot of things that Alex says that I just find appalling and laughable. And I have to kind of, you know, sift through some of these things because, you know, he says a lot. He says a lot of good stuff, and he also says a lot of bogus things, and I kind of just have to sift through it. And if you guys want more of these videos engaging with Alex O'Connor, hey, the best way to show that for me, to make me understand that that's what you guys want to see, leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and hey, if you disagree, if you think I'm a big dummy, that's okay. Leave a comment, or, you know, dislike even. That's okay. Let's wear out a Bible with one another. Let's hash it out. Come on, we could talk. Let's hash it out. Let's wear out a Bible with one another. Let's have a conversation. We can be civilized adults here. We don't have to be, you know, a bunch of buffoons. But yeah, if you disagree, that's okay. But if you like this video, again, the best way to show, like, subscribe, share. And if you feel so inclined, share it with your grandparents and your mom and your dad and, hey, all your friends. It'll be great. Thanks for tuning in for this video. God bless you all.